Hi guys, I'm Shmee, hello and welcome back to the channel where you join me today here at Hennessey in Texas, where everything is bigger and faster, including this, the Corvette ZR1 HPE1000. This car has 1,000 horsepower, as much as a Bugatti Veyron, or nearly as much as a McLaren Speedtail, more than a LaFerrari or a 918 Spider, in a Corvette. Of course, the C7 generation, but I'm going to show you around some of the things that Hennessey have done to this before heading over to the private track just over there to take it for a drive and experience 1,000 horsepower. I can tell you now, it's going to be ridiculous. Let's do this. It's not the first time that I've been here to visit the guys at Hennessey, but it is the first time that I have come out with one of my own cars. Now, having driven a couple of thousand miles in the Shelby GT500, a car they actually work on as well, I also recently took a look at one of these, the Camaro ZR1 or the ZL1 1LE package with Gavin from It's Just a Six in Louisiana. But today is all about this, the Corvette ZR1, the meanest, most angry, aggressive version of the 7th generation Corvette, in this case with the twist that it adds an extra 33% of power, up to 1,000 horsepower. Now, I remember when the car launched originally at the Dubai Auto Show a couple of years ago. I also got to check one out when I was in Bahrain and drive it for the first time. And then just over a year ago, when I was here for my big tour with my Ford GT, I went out with Mike from Street Speed 717 in his. But this ups the ante, 1,000 horsepower, and we'll go through some of those modifications. Of course, the ZR1 was the final version of the 7th generation. Before, for the C8, they went with the mid-engine layout, but we have the 6.2 litre supercharged V8 in here. Normally, it would be 755 horsepower. With the extensive modifications, we're talking 245 more. Crazy, crazy numbers. This car, from the outside, is the standard, or with the aero package in effect, as opposed to the full Hennessey modifications. You can see lots of aero work going on at the front, a gigantic fixed spoiler sitting here at the back, but set up very much to be the track-focused version of the Corvette, just in this case, with ludicrous power. And talking of power, let's pop open the hood, the bonnet, which actually pivots towards the front. It's a carbon fibre piece and looks pretty cool in the process, although you can't see all that much. In any case, let me pull this and wait until you hear the sound of it as well. It is deafening, this thing. Opening this then towards the front, it leaves that central section. Like I say, you can't sadly see all that much, but we will take a look at a cheat sheet with some of the information. You can see the exposed carbon on the underside of the hood itself. Just a very cool looking thing. Close this back down, give it a click into place. You've got the ZR1 badges all around to let you know exactly what this is about, and of course also at the rear, the HPE1000, in case you were wondering. It's pretty obvious what this means. So let's come through. We need to get this started, although before we do that, because it is incredibly loud, let me show you exactly what we're talking here. You can see some of the spec and details, 1,000 brake horsepower, 966 pounds-foot, and all of the modifications that have gone into making all of that. I'm going to press once to wake it up. I'm going to turn the mode selector so that we're actually into sport mode, because that is where it gets insane. Take a listen. What is that? The rawness, the power, the anger. That's about 2,000 RPM. Look at this. Imagine when it's warmed up and we're out there on the private test track in just a moment. This is going to be absurd. No secret then, in sport mode, it's really loud, but you can actually turn it and put it in tour, where the exhaust valve closes and it's a little bit more civilized as well for normal driving. In fact, that's not all too crazy. So we've got the auto. You can have this car with manuals or with autos. There are lots of Hennessey cars around, but I'm going to try and make my way through here if I can. A squeeze between the trucks. I think we got this. Carefully does it. Perfect. All right, so in tour mode, heading towards this side of things like this. It's actually really, really civilized, but I think it's going to be all about, gosh, that gets so fiendishly loud when you put it up into sport. Honestly, I mean, obviously I'm going to feather my way into this, take it easy until I've got a feel for what it does and what it's like. I don't want to go full guns blazing, foot down on cold tires with 1,000 horsepower. That's where it could go wrong very, very quickly. But like this, it it feels manageable. Maybe if we go down into manual and use the shift paddles. Listen to that, that is power. That is serious power. Yeah. Listen to those bangs. Obviously I've got the air conditioning blowing quite strongly at the moment. This is... What on earth? I'm taking it easy just while I try and get the hang of this a little bit. Okay. I don't really know what to think about this yet. Just let's get the wheels pointed straight. I'm not flooring it with the wheels at any kind of angle, because that's when it's going to go wrong, completely wrong. On my first run, I'm allowed to take it slightly more easily, just when I get a little bit comfortable with this thing. This is also the drag. Wow! This is also the drag strip. This feels like a weapon. This feels like an absolute weapon. One comment I will make is that obviously having the auto gearbox rather than a newer dual clutch like we find in so many of the cars that are arriving now, the GT500, and the speed of the C8's gearbox as well, there is a little lag when you're upshifting. In second gear, for example, we're in sport, we're not in track. When you shift, you do want it to go just a little bit quicker. The downshifts are great, the downshifts sound amazing. The upshifts, there's a small wait for it to kick into action. Obviously, the stock car, right? Obviously, the gearbox handling immense amounts of power in here. And then those bangs when you drop down from third to second. This feels pretty good as well, by the way. The steering is quite nice. I mean, I've always been a fan of front-engine sports cars. Obviously, you get a little bit more precision with the rear, with the engine behind you. This is hilarious, 1,000 odd horsepower, so when we get around the big corner here at the end, this is where it's a waiting game. There's no going down early on the power. Wait for the wheels to be straight. Wait, now go. What? 130 miles an hour, like that, clinging on to the edge of the seat. This is mental. Now, I've driven some very, very powerful cars out here on this part of tarmac with Hennessey, but the noise that this makes and that kick in the back as well, the feel of it just endlessly delivering power up towards the top end, just going. Now let's turn it up into track mode, TR. It gets firmer. I can feel that straight away. The steering gets heavier as well. Huge difference in feel, actually. Perhaps artificially too firm. Shift, still a little lag. I would love that to be faster, but that's obviously a generational change between these cars. The sounds are just mental. Window down for a moment and it gets even louder. And then that bang behind. It's hard to really fully explain this. The wing out the back is funny as well. It's so high that you look straight underneath it. You're not actually looking at the wing apart from the uprights. Let me just close the window as we get back towards the wheels pointing straight again. In track mode now, so straight, go. silly, silly. I don't know how better to describe this. I tell you what though, after going a few loops around, I think I really prefer the car in sport mode as opposed to track. Manual helps for sure, being able to pre-select the gear and what you want to do with it. But taking it at more normal road speeds as well, the car isn't too aggressive. Obviously it's the ZR1, it's very much American supercar in the sense that it's got a lot of power, but it's still fairly civilized. The ride is decently comfortable, the seats are fairly soft as well. It's loaded with technology, there's a lot to play with and buttons to press and things you can set up and control and that side of things. But then it also drives pretty well too, out on the little track here. Those bangs. Stab the throttle and power delivery like you wouldn't believe. Heart kind of pushed to the back of your seat. Everything about this is just straight line. 140 or so miles an hour. You're very much clinging on with that amount of power. Very much clinging on, wondering what on earth is going on. Each time I come here and I drive around this loop, I'm left with this hilarious smile on my face because you can't not be giddy with excitement driving a car with that amount of power. Like, this is major hypercar territory in an attainable supercar. Yes, it's the ZR1, it's not the regular Stingray, but it's not crazy territory. You know, it's significantly below that of the equivalents from Ferrari, Lamborghini, McLaren. And then it just goes for the package here, which isn't even that insane. And there's the HPE850 as well, at about $20,000. This is about $50,000. And you have something that drives when you put your foot down, that does that. The whole world around you just erupts. This crazy drama and all-around ridiculousness. I don't really know how else to describe it. There are some of the flaws that you might expect as well. It's, you know, it's not absolutely pinpoint precise. It's a little bit laggy on the gearbox. I've said that more than enough times. It's almost too loud. It's that level of loud. But when it comes to drama, this is just mental. I'm finding it really hard to get my head around the amount of noise that this car makes. I actually just had it in tour mode for a second idling, and I thought it was in sport, it was that loud already. It's at sport at the moment with the valves opened. So the Camaro is just heading around. That also sounds incredible. These two together, the ZR1, the ZL1. We can listen to this. Absolutely ridiculous, as has been this thing. It takes some major recalibration to get to the bottom of what that car is, because you know the power isn't kind of Senna heart-stopping power, because that thing's so much lighter, but it's not what you expect from this car. Just the noises of angry, noisy trucks all around. This thing absolutely gets a move on. And of course, being a Corvette, you have the roof panel that you can take off, you can stow away in the rear. You get the carbon fiber roof panel on the ZR1. This rear hatch that opens, considering the wing, is actually a little bit irritating. You have a button down here, but to open it, you basically have to come around to the side, otherwise you're going to trap your fingers in there. When you do open it, you've got masses of luggage space. Perfect daily. You can use this thing and just go wherever, do whatever. Close that back down. Oh, need to go to click in the middle, and yeah, nice and easy. Lots of carbon fiber everywhere, around the intakes, the side skirts, the front lip. Hennessey do make a set of wheels. These are the standard wheels. Inside, loads of tech. As I said, I think I'm going to resist starting it up again just for the moment because it is oh so loud. But you press the button, kick it into life. In here, you've got your video recorder. You've got all sorts of data. Temperatures going up slightly today. Obviously the sun, but a lot of wind as well. You can tuck the screen away, have your storage cubby with some chargers, devices tucked in there. You've got a few bits and pieces all around as well. Your gear shifter, your mode selector, press in the middle to turn off traction. And then you've got this massive bulge on the hood housing everything that's going on there. I just find it amusing that that part stays actually in place. Sorry for the beeping while I've got the door actually open. I think the key inside. Wait, let's give it a press. Where are we with the button, he says, trying to fiddle around. There we go. Everything is off for the moment. That was a cool little experience. The keys are inside, hence the horn chiming just there. Totally crazy, but you know, this is where we are. This is Texas. Everything is bigger and faster here in Texas, especially with the guys at Hennessey. Awesome, awesome fun then. Driving that wild thing, I've said it enough times, as much power as a Veyron in a Corvette, the HPE1000 Corvette ZR1. What a drive. That's it for now. Thank you very much for watching. As always, guys, I appreciate your support an awful lot, and I'll see you again very soon. Cheers.